Germany finds itself at a crossroads. The ghosts of the Cold War whisper anxieties into its present. Its current geopolitical strategy, plagued by a dangerous nostalgia, threatens its stability and global standing. The world has changed, but Germany's approach to the East seems frozen in time. This outdated approach, entangled with economic dependence and strategic miscalculations, has left Germany vulnerable. For decades, Germany's policy towards Russia was built on a foundation of Wandel durch, handle change through trade. This belief, embraced after the fall of the Berlin Wall, held that economic interdependence would foster political and social change. Germany, along with much of Europe, believed that a prosperous Russia, deeply integrated into the global economy, would be a reliable partner. However, recent events have exposed the flaws in this thinking. The assumption that economic ties would automatically translate into political alignment has proven dangerously naive. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 should have been a wake-up call. It signaled a stark departure from the hoped-for trajectory of the relationship. Yet Germany, heavily reliant on Russian energy, hesitated to take decisive action. Instead of diversifying its energy sources and reassessing its economic ties, Germany doubled down on its existing strategy. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, a project aimed at significantly increasing the flow of natural gas from Russia to Germany, became a symbol of this misguided approach. Despite warnings from allies and partners, Germany clung to the belief that economic engagement could somehow tame the geopolitical ambitions of a resurgent Russia. This gamble, however, has not paid off. The outbreak of war in Ukraine has exposed the folly of Germany's misplaced faith in economic interdependence as a guarantor of peace and stability. Germany's economic engine, a powerhouse of manufacturing and innovation, hums with an insatiable thirst for energy. And Russia, with its vast reserves of natural gas, became the dealer to that addiction. This dependence, cultivated over decades, now binds Germany in a complex web of economic and political vulnerability. The lifeblood of German industry flows through pipelines controlled by a nation increasingly at odds with the West. The potential consequences of this dependence are stark. In a world of escalating geopolitical tensions, energy is leveraged. Russia demonstrated this with painful clarity in the wake of its invasion of Ukraine. Gas flows were manipulated, prices skyrocketed, and Europe shivered in the face of weaponized energy. Germany, heavily reliant on Russian gas, found itself particularly exposed. The economic fallout was immediate and severe, highlighting the fragility of a system built on a single, unreliable supplier. The situation is not just about energy. German businesses, lured by the promise of a rapidly growing Russian market, made significant investments in the country. These economic ties, once seen as bridges of cooperation, now represent potential liabilities. Sanctions imposed on Russia in response to its aggression have left German companies grappling with frozen assets, disrupted supply chains, and lost markets. The economic pain is real, rippling through German industries and casting a shadow of uncertainty over its future prospects. This dependence on the East extends beyond Russia. China, with its booming economy and insatiable appetite for German cars and machinery, has become a crucial trading partner. While this economic relationship holds significant potential, it also presents its own set of challenges. China's human rights record, its assertive foreign policy in the South China Sea, and its increasingly strained relationship with the West have raised concerns in Berlin. Germany finds itself walking a tightrope, seeking to balance its economic interests with its values and security concerns. The world is no longer bipolar. The neat divisions of the Cold War have given way to a more complex and fluid geopolitical landscape. New centers of power are emerging. Alliances are shifting, and the rules of the international order are being rewritten. In this turbulent environment, clinging to outdated Cold War playbooks is not just ineffective, it's dangerous. Germany, accustomed to operating within the familiar confines of the transatlantic alliance, now faces a world where the United States is no longer the sole guarantor of global security. The rise of China, both economically and militarily, has fundamentally altered the balance of power. The United States, grappling with its own domestic challenges and strategic priorities, is less willing to play the role of global policeman. This shift has left a void in global leadership, creating uncertainty and anxiety among its allies. Germany, caught in the middle of this geopolitical tug-of-war, must navigate a delicate path. On the one hand, its economic interests are deeply intertwined with both China and the United States. On the other hand, its values and security concerns align more closely with the West. This balancing act has become increasingly difficult as tensions between the United States and China continue to escalate. The war in Ukraine has further exacerbated these tensions. The United States has pushed for a tough stance against Russia, including severe economic sanctions and increased military support for Ukraine. Germany, while condemning Russia's aggression, has been more hesitant to fully embrace these measures, fearing the economic consequences for its own industries and the potential for further escalation. This divergence of views has exposed cracks within the transatlantic alliance, raising questions about its unity and effectiveness in the face of a more assertive Russia and a rising China. Germany's current predicament is not solely a product of external forces. It is also a consequence of its own internal struggles. The ghosts of the Cold War continue to haunt its political discourse, shaping its strategic choices in ways that are no longer serving its interests. The belief that economic interdependence alone can guarantee peace and stability has been exposed as a dangerous fallacy. Germany's over-reliance on Russian energy and its hesitancy to confront aggressive behavior have emboldened Russia and undermined its own standing on the world stage. The economic consequences of this misguided nostalgia are already being felt. Soaring energy prices, disrupted supply chains, and lost markets are taking a toll on German businesses and consumers. The economic pain is real, and it is likely to worsen if Germany continues on its current trajectory. The social fabric of German society is also feeling the strain. The influx of refugees fleeing the war in Ukraine, while welcomed by many, has also sparked anxieties about national identity and social cohesion. Germany's international reputation has also suffered. Its hesitancy to take a more assertive stance against Russia has disappointed allies and emboldened adversaries. The perception of Germany as an unreliable partner, more concerned with its own economic interests than with the principles of international order, is gaining traction. This loss of soft power could have long-term consequences for Germany's ability to shape global events and defend its interests on the world stage. The internal political landscape is also feeling the heat. The ruling coalition, already grappling with the challenges of governing in a complex and rapidly changing world, is under increasing pressure to articulate a clear and coherent foreign policy vision. The war in Ukraine has exposed deep divisions within German society about the country's role in the world, its relationship with Russia, and its commitment to European integration. These divisions, if left unaddressed, could further paralyze German foreign policy, leaving it adrift at a time when decisive action is needed more than ever. Should Germany remain on its present course, the future appears fraught with peril. The economic ramifications of its energy dependence and its reluctance to diversify its economic partnerships could be severe. Imagine a Germany increasingly isolated, its economic growth sputtering, as it struggles to adapt to a world reshaped by geopolitical competition and shifting alliances. The geopolitical consequences are equally concerning. A Germany perceived as weak and indecisive risks becoming a pawn in a larger geopolitical game, played by more assertive powers. Its values and interests would be increasingly vulnerable to external pressure, its voice muted in international forums, and its ability to shape the rules of the game significantly diminished. The transatlantic alliance, already strained by disagreements over how to manage the challenges posed by Russia and China, could fracture further. Domestically, the social and political fabric of German society could unravel. The economic pain caused by misguided policies could fuel social unrest and political instability. Extremist parties, both on the left and the right, could exploit the anxieties and frustrations of the population, further polarizing the political landscape and eroding trust in democratic institutions. The very foundations of German democracy, built on a shared commitment to liberal values and a rules-based international order, could be shaken to their core. The consequences of inaction are stuck. Germany, once a beacon of stability and prosperity in the heart of Europe, could find itself adrift, its economy faltering, its society fractured, and its international standing in tatters. The time for complacency is over. Germany must awaken to the new realities of the 21st century and chart a new course, one that safeguards its interests, upholds its values, and ensures its rightful place as a leader in a world in desperate need of responsible power. The path forward for Germany demands a clear-eyed assessment of the current geopolitical landscape and a decisive break from the outdated paradigms of the past. It begins with a recognition that economic interdependence alone cannot guarantee peace and security. Germany must diversify its energy sources, reduce its dependence on Russia, and build more resilient supply chains that are less vulnerable to geopolitical shocks. This requires a renewed commitment to the transatlantic alliance, but not one rooted in blind allegiance. Germany must be a strong and reliable partner, willing to share the burdens of global leadership, and to defend the values and principles that underpin the liberal international order. This will require increased investment in its military capabilities, a more assertive foreign policy stance, and a willingness to work with like-minded partners to counter the challenges posed by authoritarian power at the same time. Germany must not shy away from engaging with China. The economic relationship is too important to ignore. However, this engagement must be grounded in realism, not wishful thinking. Germany should leverage its economic clout to push for a more level playing field, address unfair trade practices, and encourage China to play a more responsible role in the international system. Above all, Germany needs a strong and unified domestic front. This requires addressing the anxieties and divisions within German society, providing economic security and opportunity for all citizens, and restoring faith in the institutions of democracy. A strong and unified Germany, clear in its values and confident in its place in the world, is essential not only for its own future, but for the future of Europe and the liberal international order. The road ahead is challenging, but Germany has overcome adversity before. It has the resilience, the ingenuity, and the moral clarity to navigate the turbulent waters of the 21st century. The question is whether it has the political will to do so. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher.